Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new League of Legends video. In this one, we will discuss how Viktor went from being one of the weakest mid laners out there to one of actually the strongest and most contested champions to pick in the mid lane. So as we saw after the buff to Viktor in patch 8.3, buffing the shield on his Q and our cooldown have been decreased, we suddenly started seeing more and more players picking him up again from low to high elo. And he also made appearance in the LCS a couple times already. So going back a little bit, we have barely seen any Viktor played in the LCS, or for example, since his last nerf, about more than a year now I think, which hit his ultimate speed and made it harder to stick it to the opponent. And also the nerf to Realize back then, which was a core item in his build since it makes hitting the second part of his E easier. And also his catching power was affected by that. Now suddenly in patch 8.3, we saw a buff to Viktor that was aimed towards his Q shield being increased to 60%, plus reducing his RCD. At first, it seemed like a stupid buff that won't fix none of the issues he has. But apparently, from that point on, a new rule setup has emerged and new builds started appearing, making him viable again, and even kinda strong. And by strong I mean very hard to kill. And now, as I said, we started seeing him a lot more. His win rate just suddenly increased from patch 8.3 to patch 8.4 by the statistics you see on the screen right now. So the rules that players are running on him now are the following. First, the primary keystone of choice is Fleet Footwork. So the healing from Fleet Footwork gives you good sustain and survivability in the laning phase. It also scales very well with AP, and combined with the shield on your Q, it enables you to take short trades with the enemy without risking too much. For the rest of the rune tree, Presence of Mind is the best choice to pick, since it helps with some mana issues with Viktor, so that he has to stay in lane for some time till he gets enough gold for his hex score upgrade. Second rune you take is the Tenacity one, and the last one is Coup de Grace. For the second tree, it is always situational and depends on preferences, but most players prefer going Sorcery second with Celerity and Scorch. Celerity have a decent synergy with the movement speed from your Q and from Fleet Footwork, so your kiting power is really high, and Scorch prevails in the laning phase with short trades offering good lane pressure. The build also depends on situations. Some even go only tonk items like Abyssal Mask and Iceborne Gauntlet, etc. But in my opinion, this is the most effective one. The first version of it is the following. You get your hex score upgrades first, then you run Lich Bane. Third item depends on the game. You could go Rayleigh for even greater kiting power. You could go Zonia versus Assassins and Divers, or Morellonomicon if they are lacking MR. Then you round up the build with Void Staff and Rabadon's Death Cap. The second version is the one used mostly by LCS players and high elo players. Not very different from the previous one though, in which you get your hex score, then followed by Archangel Staff, Lich Bane, Void Staff and Rabadons. In the boots you can get anything you want, depending on the game stage and the enemy team comp. So the advantage of this build is it offers you the Archangel Shield, it's OP I know, and the extra AP from its passive, but the downside is that it takes you some time to be strong in the game. It's kinda focused towards OP late game AP carry style. Now, let's discuss what made Viktor suddenly a strong champion. So first of all, there is his insane safety net in the early game that compensates his weaknesses then, like his short range, his lack of lane pressure, pre-hex score, etc. That safety net comes from being able to take small trades and retreat using his Q shield, and the HP sustain coming from Fleet Footwork. That combined with barrier as a summoner spell makes it really difficult to kill him in lane, even with jungle presence. Secondly, since Fleet Footwork's healing can scale with AP too, means that the Keystone also gives him a sustainable power in teamfights, which means he can stay in fights for a very long time, as he can sustain the damage he takes with that healing from Fleet Footwork. Also, it compensates his short range in comparison to other mages. With all of that, he is able to hit his item spikes, and once he reaches 3 item plus, he starts kicking gears and killing stuffs around the map, both as a split pusher and or in team fights. That will do it for this video. I hope it was informative and it helped you get a great idea on how strong Viktor has become and why high elo players and LCS players have been picking him up a lot lately. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave us a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you can go down on your left hand, you will find the subscribe button right there, then smash it as hard as you can. And until next time, good luck on Summoner's Rift. Dab it up and damage.